Where do I start and how do I start?
I'll tell you, the easiest option is start asking questions. Someone is truly a proper counselor, has the experience, will be able to answer your why. Do not trust anyone easily. First, as I said, think of 1,000 questions, get them answered. All of us have learned to live in an online world. We have also changed our own systems and processes to be completely visible online, to do the entire process without meeting once. Of course, we would love to physically meet. So management education abroad is a different game altogether. Over there, you are not reading books at all. You're not doing any theory. Of course, some subjects, yes, but most subjects are completely practical and case study based. So the flexibility is there. It's completely open and you can do what you want, how you want it within a basic structure.
Hello, hi sir. So, when you were recording with Pankaj sir, I had the privilege to listening to you and to your insights directly firsthand, and it made me rethink that I also had dreams to go abroad. So I had a few questions for myself as well, if you are open to.
Of course, happy to help.
So first and foremost, I think everyone, whoever is planning to go abroad, has one particular question: where do I start and how do I start?
Okay. So the where do I start will be answered from understanding why do you even want to go abroad. So that's the first question, always. So sometimes you want to go abroad for a better career prospect.
Right.
You might want to go abroad on a one-way ticket and say, I never want to come back. I want to settle abroad. Third option might be that I want to go study, gain some experience, and then come back to my home country because of whatever reasons. My parents are here, or long term, I want to be in India. Now, depending on that, the countries will completely change. And the reason is very simple. Some countries don't allow you to stay back. So, if you want to settle, you can't go there.
Right.
Right. Sometimes the branding in India is very important. So, we send you to a country where people understand your brand, where you have gone. And I will give you examples also for all of these.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So basically, when I was planning to do an MBA and when the time came that I had to pursue my master's, unfortunately, COVID hit. And so I had to stay back, not just in India, but in my hometown. So I was doing an MBA, but it was a distance education. So it's not that I've not done my master's, but I want to explore more. And because I think that I've done a distance education as a postgraduate, I want to explore opportunities that are abroad.
So, management education abroad is a different game altogether. Over there, you are not reading books at all. You're not doing any theory. Of course, some subjects, yes, but most subjects are completely practical and case study based. So, funnily enough, you can clear an entire subject. Even if you fail the final exam, you will still pass. Why? Because the weightage of the exam is very low. They believe in multiple group projects, individual projects, presentations as part of the learning process and journey, which you have missed out.
Yes.
So the theory, of course, is pretty much the same. India today has also got excellent content, but the delivery of that content is not so good. And especially, of course, in distance, there is no delivery.
Right.
You're reading from a textbook and trying to copy as much into an exam, which when you go, you remember, put it down. But again, from a broad perspective, if you copy the book word from word, they will fail you.
Okay.
It's as simple. Now imagine you have excellent memory and you copy the whole book. Like if marketing, Philip Kotler says, what are the 4 Ps? You write them, they will fail you. They want you to figure out what you have understood, not what you have learned. So because books are available, it has been written, they don't care about that. They care about what knowledge have you gained, what have you understood, what is your personal thought process. So for everything, let's say someone has written a book on a topic. They will not ask you to talk about that topic. They will ask you to say, do you agree with what has been written?
Okay.
Or if you agree, then why? If you disagree, then why? And there is no wrong answer. The best part is there is never a wrong answer. It is about they want to see have you made your judgment and have you made your arguments clear. They also allow you to use any industry, any subject as your case study theory.
Okay. So I think that is way different than the education system that's here,
Exactly.
which focuses on ratta maru.
Absolutely.
And that does
Ratta
not
will
work
not
here.
help you at all. So in fact, when I had gone, now from my point of view, I had gone after running my own business.
Okay.
So I spent 1 year working with the best minds and getting free advice, because I did every case study based on my business.
Right.
Whenever they gave me an opportunity and say, you can choose your own case or your own industry, I would choose my company. And then I would have the best professors, the best of minds, giving me better advice on how to improve and face. I mean, I always spoke about my challenges and they gave me solutions. Now, in
Okay.
your case, maybe you can talk about anything which interests you. You can do a case on that. They will allow you to do it. So the flexibility is there. So what is missing is that it's completely open, and you can do what you want, how you want it, within a basic structure.
So I also have a 3-year work experience. So does that help getting more application, or does it help me in any way?
So funnily enough, in an MBA program, the minimum work experience requirement is 3 years.
Okay.
So abroad, that's the difference. Anywhere, any top university, find a top 100 university worldwide, see their entry requirements. All of them will say 3 to 5 years managerial work experience. In India, you can do an executive MBA at 3 to 5 years. Abroad, an executive MBA is only with that designation and number of years. So the average age of a good MBA is 28
Okay.
in anywhere in the world. In India, you finish graduation and next day you start MBA.
Right.
So there is a difference. And why is that difference? Because you are answering based on your experience. So in my classroom, when I had gone, I was actually 28 years old. I had people in my class who were, the youngest was 25 and the oldest was in his 50s,
Wow.
right? With the average in my classroom was about 34. So that means they all had 10 to 12 years experience when they were in that classroom. So the professor was just sitting there discussing. So we would discuss a topic, and then someone from another industry would come in that in my company we had done this. In my experience we had done it. So we all learned through everyone's collective experiences, right? There was again no one right answer. Now the same thing in a MBA without work experience classroom. No one has work ex, so what will you do? You will say this book has said this theory has
Right.
said this. That is the difference.
So it helps with experiential learning as well.
Absolutely. The experiences which we learned from, and then suddenly, I mean, I am from an education industry. Someone's from a construction industry. He was talking about a problem he solved in his, and I said, oh wow, I can use this in mine. And imagine construction industry, Caterpillar, that guy used to work for Caterpillar. His example worked ultimately to solve a problem I was having in a
Yes.
service overseas education consultancy.
Yes.
So that is the beauty of it.
Okay. And so, like, now I'm very much convinced that I can still pursue my MBA. But how do I start? Which university or which country should I shortlist? Because I'm very confused.
So first, again, you need to just quickly determine that do you want to come back to India or not. That is a major metric because some countries will be completely different. We normally suggest the popular countries because why? Because they are recognized in India completely. And I will also tell you why. So, for example, countries like UK, USA, Australia, everyone has heard of. Now, I'll give you my own sister's example. 10 years ago, she decided to apply abroad for her master's in management. She got into Imperial College London, one of the world's best universities. She also got into a university called HEC in Paris.
Okay.
That was the world's #1 university for her program.
Okay.
So it was a 2-year program. Imperial was 1 year. It was twice as expensive as Imperial, right? And from a Bania point of view, you have to understand that girl, shadi karani hai, so on and so forth. But we still went with HEC. My entire family said, you're crazy. That तुमने लड़की को कहाँ फेंक दिया? Now we are also vegetarians. Food was difficult, impossible. There was barely any vegetarian food where she went in Paris. And the problem is, whenever in my industry, whenever I would speak with anyone and would tell them my sister is in HEC, they would say, wow, wow. Like everyone in Europe said, wow, this is the top of the world. In India, no one knew it. And unfortunately for her, after she finished, we needed her to come back to India. So we did not allow her to to get a job there. She got a job, but we got her to quit and come back. Over here, no one understood where she went. So we had to print the ranking list, highlight it, and then share it along with her CV. So that is the problem. Now you went to the world's #1, but still people did not understand. So it's very important for you to know where you are going after.
Right.
If you want to come to India, then we need to make sure you go to a university which people here will understand. Though, of course, things have changed now. There is more information, people are more aware, but still it is a difficulty in some cases. So, if you look at a non multinational company, they will not appreciate that you went to a university in Europe versus a UK or a US university.
Thank you so much for sharing that story. That gives me another question. I have seen many families where the children want to go abroad, but the parents' mindset is not like that. They feel like there will be a lot many expensive. The MBA abroad is much more expensive than it is in India. So I agree that it is very different because in India it's a 2 year program and in abroad it's a 1 year program. Still, it's expensive.
Of course.
So how do we justify that?
Again, what over here, a couple of things we can do. As part of our process, we insist we also speak with parents.
Right.
Students have different types of questions, different issues, parents have different. So we normally always try and meet the student and the parent and both of them individually also.
Okay.
Because sometimes they don't want to talk to each other first. So, I mean,
Yes.
we do that also. And we, over the years, have understood, of course, a parent is a parent. They will have their concerns, both for your safety, well-being, and of course, financial. It is expensive, but you need to consider ROI. Longer term ROI, longer term growth. So it's not about today. It's about your career spanning 20 years, 30 years.
Agreed.
If you have an MBA or a master's from, let's say, not even a completely top end university. So none of India's universities are in the top 100 worldwide. The closest university would be an IIT, and that too would be somewhere in the 200 ranks globally. What if I send you to a top 100 ranked university worldwide? There is a huge difference. And for that, you are paying a competitive price. Please understand. Of course, you are paying for it, no doubt. And that can be in the span of your career or in the next 3 to 5 years, you will make up that money. So that is possible. And we do figure out how to reduce cost, even reduce cost by scholarships, by doing applications early, or figuring out where education is more affordable. If affordability is your main criteria, we might look at a country where it is cheaper. You might have certain compromises to make, yes. But overall, it will still be 1,000 times better than doing your MBA here.
Agreed. And so, like, I have finalized that I want to go. I have convinced my parents, and I've also packed my bag. Now, how much should I have in my bank account before I
Typically,
go?
you should have anything from 12 to 15 lakhs. That is the ideal figure. We have, of course, done a lot of visas in a scenario where there is no money at all also.
Okay.
The education has been entirely funded through an education loan. So, but I don't recommend that. I always feel there has to be some money which has to come from you and your sources, though it is possible to fund it entirely, because you are also more serious. When you see that your family's money is involved, you are more serious, you will study better.
Of
And
course.
trust me, the opportunities exist.
And can I avail any scholarships?
Tons. Tons and tons. Every country, every university will have their own specific scholarships. We know, for example, in the UK, there is a group of prestigious universities called the Russell Group. They are the top universities in the UK. There are a couple of them which give scholarships as high as £9,000, which completely change the game of studying abroad. So it's possible, of course.
So, any particular one suggestion that you would like to give me before I finalize or I shortlist any university or any country?
Do a lot of reading and research. That is the key. If you are clear in your mind with what your end goal is, the second you tell me that, I can clearly tell you what will work for you by way of university, course, city, within the city area, all of that will work out. You have to focus on a program where the industry is also there. If an industry is not there, how will you get a job?
Right.
So we have to find your relevant industry. We need to find whether that university has linkages in that industry. So that is the level of depth we get into to make sure that you ultimately succeed. To give you a simple, dumb example here, in a country of Ireland, there is not even a single automobile manufacturing plant.
Okay.
Not even one. Every car is imported. So now if you do your automobile engineering there, what do you think will happen? Will you get a job? The answer is no.
No.
So it logically makes sense to at least send you to a country where there is automobile manufacturing happening.
Exactly.
If you do a course there, you'll at least most likely be able to get into something. Otherwise, with Ireland, the options for this reason would be zero.
And I understand there are many challenges in my journey. Like I've just decided that I don't want to do, but there are many documentation, there are many application filling forms. So what all can I expect, and how do I face those challenges?
So over the years, we have, of course, developed a fairly straightforward process, which will help simplify everything. And it's a step-by-step process which we have developed. We will, of course, guide you through that end to end. But the main idea is that documentation, if done properly in the start, in the beginning, everything else will be smooth.
Right.
That is what we have realized. And we normally insist that we start off with the right documentation.
Okay. And any other feedback, sir? Any other point that you would like to tell that because most of the people who want to start, they have no clue what should we do. They're just confused and they are scrolling through their reels. They are finding so many agencies, and there are so many chances that they might fall into some scam.
Perfect. I'll tell you, the easiest option is start asking questions. Only if someone is truly a proper counselor, has the experience, will be able to answer your why. Why do, sir, if you have suggested this university to me, why should I go here and not somewhere else? If you have chosen this country for me, why should I go here and not somewhere else? When you start asking whys, when you start asking them to compare one versus the other, trust me, they will not be able to do it.
Okay.
And that is when you realize that there is something wrong. Please run away. Whoever your person is, you should be very comfortable. They should be open, approachable, and they should be able to answer your questions. Do not believe anyone. Do not trust anyone easily. First, as I said, think of 1,000 questions, get them answered. Get your mind clear, then start the application process.
Okay. And I have one more very important question. Like I am based out of Jodhpur and Mindwave is based out of Delhi. So do you provide online consultation as well?
Of course, especially post COVID. Before that, it was different. I'll completely admit that. But post COVID, I think all of us have learned to live in an online world. We have also changed our own systems and processes to be completely visible online, to do the entire process without meeting once. Of course, we would love to physically meet whenever possible. But yes, everything can be done completely online without any physical need to come to Delhi or us to come to you.
Okay. I think that answers all of my question, and thank you so much for giving me your time, and thank you so much for answering all my questions.
No, of course, happy to help.